Welcome to Inside Insulation. I'm Rob from R&E Advisors. Our podcast focuses on helping insulation contractors transform their businesses while keeping you updated on the latest industry news and practical strategies to grow your company. Today, we're diving into something that's hitting all our wallets right now, those massive 2025 tariffs. This isn't just another boring economics lecture, though. We're going to break down exactly how these trade policies are reshaping your business, give you the real numbers on what's happening globally, and share some practical strategies that smart contractors are already using to stay ahead of the curve. Let's get into it. So what's actually happening with these tariffs? Here's the straight talk. Yale University's Budget Lab says the combined 2025 tariff actions have pushed the average U.S. tariff rate to a whopping 28%. That's the highest since 1901. These tariffs are expected to jack up consumer prices by about 3% in the short term. For the average household, that means roughly $4,900 per year in extra costs. The construction industry is already feeling it. Building costs are sitting 40% higher than pre-pandemic levels. But here's the thing: to really understand how this affects your business, we need to look at the global picture first. Let me drop some fresh stats on you. According to the latest market data from 2024, Asia Pacific is actually the biggest player in the global insulation game, holding a massive 41.5% of the global market share. China and Japan are the heavyweights there. North America comes in second with about 40% of the global market. Europe follows with around 26.6% of the pie. What's crazy is that before these tariffs, these regions had a pretty smooth trading relationship. Materials, components, and even finished products were flowing across borders without much friction. Not anymore. Here's something you might not know: most of the foam insulation products we use depend on petrochemicals. And guess who controls most of that? Middle Eastern countries produce the majority of the world's crude oil, which is the primary raw material for most insulating products. So we've got this complex global supply chain. Asia Pacific dominates manufacturing, North America consumes a ton, Europe innovates with specialty products, and the Middle East supplies key raw materials. And now tariffs are throwing a wrench in the whole system. Let's get specific about how this affects your day-to-day operations. First, raw material prices are going nuts. Gordian's data shows that insulation costs have been on a roller coaster this past year. For those who don't know them, Gordian is a leading construction data and analytics firm that tracks material costs across the industry. Fiberglass steadied early in 2025, but now these metal and chemical tariffs are pushing prices back up. Materials that come through China or use lots of imported components, those are getting hit hardest. Second, price increases are already happening across the board. General Insulation Company, one of the largest insulation distributors in North America, hiked prices on all fiberglass products by 8% back in February. And they're not alone. When European and Asian products face tariffs up to 25%, those costs have to go somewhere. Third, supply chains are reshuffling like a Vegas dealer. European companies like Saint-Gobain are expanding U.S. operations. Asian manufacturers are shifting production to other countries to dodge the China-specific tariffs. It's like watching a global game of musical chairs, but with factories. Fourth, construction is slowing down, which means fewer jobs coming your way. The National Association of Home Builders says these tariffs add about $10,900 to the cost of building a home. That's enough to make builders hit the pause button on projects. Fifth, the broader economy is taking a hit. Yale's Budget Lab project states these tariffs will slice U.S. economic growth by about 1.1% and could bump unemployment up by 0.6% by the end of the year. When the economy sneezes, construction catches pneumonia, and that affects how many customers can afford those insulation upgrades. This isn't hitting all at once. It's rolling in like waves at the beach. Right now, through May, we're in wave 1. General Insulation Company's 8% bump on fiberglass is just the start. Products with Chinese components are seeing immediate price hikes. In June and July, wave 2 hits when pre-tariff inventory runs dry. That's when European products will start to feel the pinch too. All those mineral wool products from Europe that have been holding steady, don't expect them to for much longer. In July through September, wave 3 is when manufacturers start getting creative. They'll reformulate products to use less tariffed materials. Expect to see new and improved versions of products that, coincidentally, contain fewer imported components. And October and beyond, the final wave is the new normal. Yale's budget lab expects prices to settle about 1.6% higher than pre-tariff levels. The market will stabilize, but at a permanently higher price point. Here's what the sharp operators are already doing. First, overhauling their contracts. The Associated General Contractors Group, or AGC, says successful companies are adding specific language about tariff-related price increases. No more prices good for 30 days. Try 7 days in this market. Second, adjusting what they sell. The data shows huge differences in how products are affected. Cellulose insulation, made mostly in the US from recycled paper, barely sees a price bump. Standard fiberglass from domestic manufacturers like Owens Corning, pretty stable. But anything with significant imported content, through the roof. Third, getting strategic about inventory. The smart play is to stock up on products likely to see big price jumps, while keeping normal levels of stable products. Think about which products in your lineup come from China or Europe and plan accordingly. Fourth, diversifying suppliers. Those relying on a single distributor or manufacturer are getting hammered. The winners have relationships across multiple suppliers. So when one product gets hit with tariffs, they can pivot to another. Fifth, being transparent with customers. Nobody likes surprise price hikes. The data shows that companies explaining the tariff situation upfront are keeping customers, while those springing. Surprise increases are losing them. Here's the silver lining. This market is still growing like crazy despite the tariffs. The latest projections show the global insulation market growing from $70 billion in 2024 to about $128 billion by 2032. That's nearly 8% growth annually. When prices rise across the board, customers stop focusing so much on finding the cheapest option. Instead, they look for reliability, expertise, and problem solving. This is your chance to position as the trusted pro who can navigate these complicated times. Time for this week's insulation intel. Let's look at which products are most affected based on where they come from. Least affected, US made with domestic materials. Cellulose insulation is the big winner here. It's made from recycled paper processed in American plants. Standard unfaced fiberglass from major US manufacturers is also holding steady. These products have almost no exposure to international tariffs. Somewhat affected, US made with some global materials. Mineral wool is in an interesting spot. North American mineral wool uses some imported components, but the manufacturing happens here. The raw materials, particularly steel slag, could actually get cheaper as domestic steel production ramps up due to the steel tariffs. Moderately affected, products with European supply chains. European insulation products face the base 25% tariffs, but escape the higher China-specific rates. Market data shows European mineral wool and fiberglass products seeing price increases around 6 to 8%. Highly affected. Insulation with Chinese components is getting hammered. This includes fiberglass with Chinese-made aluminum facings and spray foam with Chinese-produced chemicals. Some of these products are seeing double-digit price jumps. Most affected, fully imported Chinese products. Fully imported products from China are facing tariffs up to 54% and major supply disruptions. These include specialty reflective insulation systems and certain foam boards. The takeaway? The more local your product's supply chain, the more stable your pricing will be. Let's wrap this up with what you need to remember. These tariffs have pushed the effective tax rate to 28%, driving real price increases across all building materials. The global market is reshuffling approximately. Asia Pacific controls 41.5% of production. North America accounts for 40%, and Europe holds 26.6%. Different products are affected differently based on their origin. US-made products with domestic materials are seeing minimal impact, while Chinese imports are getting crushed. The insulation market is still projected to grow at nearly 8% annually, creating plenty of opportunity even in this chaotic environment. Smart contractors are updating contracts, adjusting product mixes, managing inventory strategically, and being transparent with customers. That wraps up today's Inside Insulation. As always, we're committed to bringing you useful industry news and strategies to help your business grow. If you have any questions or comments about today's episode, please let us know. Don't forget to subscribe and like this episode. For more resources on navigating today's market challenges, visit rneadvisors.com. Until next time, I'm Rob with Inside Insulation, brought to you by R&E Advisors.